Okay, we're on. I have tried to keep this really basic because it is basic, but at the same time, it's more like, again, the more you can use it, how much more? The more you can use it, the better results you're going to get, and therefore the happier I'm going to be because you're going in the direction of your desired goal. So obviously, hopefully we'll have some strategies. Anyone want to tell me what they think protein is useful for? What is the main thing of it? And it's a good one. Like when you first ever started hearing about protein, is that where your mind straight away goes? Muscle. Yeah, so we kind of think, like I said it earlier in class, it's like protein. It's like, all the gym boys that go in and have to eat loads of protein. But first things first is protein is used for your immune system. So this is no remote. What did I go too far? No, I didn't. So yeah, what most people think that it does is just builds muscle. This is just kind of a bit of a highlight as to, that's only 10, but there's a lot more functions as to what it does. I did keep builds muscle at the top because that's what you probably think. But secondly, yeah, is building your immune system. I think the next slide is the one that, I hope I turned it on, I did, is the one that you can maybe, if you've got your phone there, or you can maybe take a photo of it, if not use your own calculator to work out how much protein that you should eat. And you'll see, hopefully that will encourage you as to why to eat enough protein as well, because you'll see what's used for what per se. So, am I right that this is the next slide? My TV remote's not very sensitive, it is. Okay, so yeah, the big picture. So when we look at our first 0 to 8 to 1 grams based on your body weight is only used for your immune system, for detoxification, and for overall basic function. So when you work that out, as someone that's maybe 75 kilo, at minimum that would be 60 grams. At maximum, for only covering this basis, is going to be 75 grams. When a lot of people first come to us, they are probably in around this region. So yes, they're at least maybe ticking this box. But honestly, sometimes people are in around 50 grams. And obviously that's me considering that someone is 75 kilos. So obviously considering your own body weight, how much would that equal for you? After that, it helps with hormones, blood sugar control, and better recovery. So if you're really sore from training, I asked one of the new girls this the other day. She walked out of her session on Saturday morning, straight legged, she couldn't bend, she was so sore, but she could walk back in on Monday morning, the exact same thing. And I was like, I need to see what you're eating nutritionally, because I need to know, are you getting enough protein in? Based on the way you're walking, I'm gonna guess probably not, because you shouldn't be that sore. You should be maybe tender and stuff, but if you're really sore, it is showing that there's potential that you're just not quite eating enough protein. So if you would even take the base end of that, so the 0.8 plus the 0.4, we're now covering those things, which for someone that's 75 kilo would be 90 grams of protein. And then on the latter half, we've got our muscle maintenance. Now, when we talk about muscle maintenance, some people I think don't really consider how important that really is, especially as women. Over the age of 30, we lose 2% of our muscle mass every year. So if you're not trying to keep that by building more muscle, you're definitely on the decline. And obviously then there's issues with that. You hear a lot about osteoporosis, etc. So we want to make sure we're trying to keep whatever damn muscle we got. We also then want to try and build some muscle, and then body composition wise as well. So it is going to help with our fat loss goals, partly due to satiation. So as you can see, so if someone was 75 kilo, at absolute minimum for survival, they'd need 60 grams of protein. If they were to add the resilience of blood sugars, hormones, better recovery, 90. But if they have a physique goal, at minimum, if you were 75 kilo, you'd be eating 120 grams. And a lot of people do query, is there that side of eating too much protein? There is, but it's a way bloody down the road from wherever we're going to be at. You're probably talking 300, 400 grams of protein causing issues, not upwardly around the 200 for our you know, our body as women for how much we move and things like that. Did anyone work out roughly based on their body weight there? Do a quick exam? No? So, so yeah, if you add the 0.8, 0.4, which would then be 1.2, and add another 0.4, that would take you to 1.6. So if you took your body weight and times it by 1.6, that would give you your absolute minimum if you're working on a body composition goal and you want to have good blood sugars, good hormones, good recovery, and support your immune system. So at absolute minimum, 1.6 times your body weight in kilo. What'd you get? I see numbers on your screen. So that's your minimum, especially like trying to keep the muscle mass and things like that. But if then you were to go like your maximum, you know, obviously again, I've got up to 180. So you can eat more. It obviously just depends like how much you want to support each of those things. Does that kind of make sense? Does it make sense as to why we're always talking about bloody protein and why it's so important? Because it's not just this, which sometimes I think it gets prefaced as, you know, these things come before. And if you're not supporting, like if you're not getting enough protein in, that ain't getting a look in at all. So your body composition isn't getting the benefit. Your muscle mass, it's not going to grow. It's not going to even stay as where it is. Your blood sugars aren't going to be benefited. I've got two little random things down here. Honestly, they were just reminders to me without putting too much text on screen to kind of talk about. The first one, the little plate, was a prompt whenever Ben and I were talking about, okay, I'm going to cover protein. One of the clients here in particular, not in the room, but in GAD, I never changed her calorie target when she first came to me. I let her calories be her calories, and I increased her protein. So I changed the macronutrients. So say before she was maybe only having a small amount of protein per day, but she was having, let's say, 1,800 calories or 1,600 calories, but a very few amount of that was from protein. Whenever we just readjusted the macronutrients, so she was having slightly less carb, slightly less fat, and a good bit more protein, she went on pretty quickly to lose 2 stone on those same amount of calories she had been eating for a long time. So sometimes it's not about the calories, but the macronutrient profile of it. And that's then where the second bit, my little flame, comes in. And that's because of the thermo effect of food. Protein has the highest. It burns 30% of the calories from the protein-based food just in digesting it, just breaking it down. So that's pretty high, pretty useful. If you're going to eat 300 calories worth of protein, 100 calories of that is already gone before it's even got to, you know, the end of you. So pretty cool if you eat that, but also it's kept you satiated. It's burnt more calories in eating it. And again, because of all other benefits, so the blood sugar balance, etc., then you're not on this blood sugar roller coaster. Therefore, you're likely to get better fat loss results by staying in a balanced blood sugar zone. Are we making sense? Yeah. Like it. Good. Okay. I had to go buy a universal remote because I cannot find the remote for this, but it's a wee bit laggy or something. There we go. Okay, so this is mainly what I'm just then going to cover for the rest of the session is these 6 pillars. As I said, I wanted to keep it as simple as I possibly could. So we think about these being our 6 pillars of protein success. The first thing we're going to look at is protein first at every meal. Again, it'll make sense. I'm not going to actually over-explain it now. Front loading protein early. Having 5 protein default foods. Use protein add-ons, repeat meals and keep it simple, and switch your snacks for protein sources. So my slides are really basic on purpose. So protein first at every meal. And what I tried to do, because I thought it was really cool whenever I had this idea and I tried starting it and then it went all blurry, was I was trying to use clients' food photos. So I was pulling in Maggie's omelettes and stuff, but they were just really blurry and I was like, damn it, that could have been cool. So just more so as an example, obviously the way that I've kind of faded those is because there's carbs there, and I'm not saying don't have carbs, of course. What I'm saying is preface every meal that you go to have with, is there protein in this? Or, okay, I'm going to have a chicken curry. I'm going to have a chicken burger, I'm gonna have a turkey, bolognese, whatever it is, like have the protein as the emphasis on what you're creating, rather than I'm gonna have a curry and I'm just gonna whack a load of veggies in it. You haven't thought about the protein source being the protein source yet. So just like prefacing each meal as there's protein in it. And what am I having? I'm having chicken thighs with potatoes and salad. I'm having a chicken salad. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, but just prefacing it and knowing and naming there's protein in there is going to mean that you're going to get your protein in a lot easier, right? Secondly, go on. I feel like I need to give you the remote because it like needs a certain angle. Come on. So front loading protein early. Typical trend, I see it quite often. So breakfast, like sometimes people's breakfast isn't even 20, it's like 6 they've had an egg and toast with butter. Then their lunch, again, maybe they've had some soup and some bread. So their protein is already starting quite low. And then maybe their dinner isn't too bad. Like they'll have chicken thighs and potatoes, bolognese, whatever it might be. But again, because they fell behind, you know, you almost feel like you're chasing your tail. It's like if you've left the house late, it's really hard to kind of catch back that. So if we think about, rather than having like 20 grams of protein at breakfast, we aim for 30. Straight away, we're already 10 grams ahead by the end of that day from nothing else. But again, then if we have an extra 10 at lunch, an extra 20 at lunch, so we have a good, decent sized lunch, we're now 30 grams ahead, and then we just have an extra 10 grams at dinner. So we've got ahead earlier in the day. If you've only ate 20 grams, 40 grams in total, and you've got to dinner and your goal for the day is 100, 110, you now have 60 grams of protein or so to eat by bedtime. How are you gonna do it? It's not gonna happen, and therefore that's when you fall behind on hitting your protein goals, and you're just, I just can't do it. You can. We just gotta shift it forward a slight bit. How many grams protein is in your omelette?
So I have the 3 large eggs and the chicken.
Yeah.
And a bit of cheese at the end.
You know how many grams?
It's between, it's good 30, maybe 40.
Yeah, so you've got ahead of your day.
Yeah, that's the best thing I've ever done, is that big omelette in the morning.
Yeah, in the morning. And like the photos, loads of people are on the omelettes the same, like chicken bacon mushroom omelettes. I'm seeing all sorts of things coming through now, which is great. And like the consistency I'm seeing of just even people hitting their protein goals from just getting it early in the morning. And they're not really, which I'm going to talk about as well, is not having too many decisions to make around what's for breakfast is sometimes helpful there too. So have 5 protein default foods. Put those last 2 down there in the corner, because in case I had any veggies or vegans coming, you know, I've put a lot of meat in there. But it is really useful to just find the things that are high protein, or things that you typically just buy on rotation. Like what is at least 3 things that you buy in your food shop every week that you know have protein in it? Steak and salmon. What was that? Mince? Yeah. Yeah, like, so they're your 5 default foods. Like, if you're like, I'm behind on protein, why? You have them there. It's just about using them and utilising them and knowing where they're going to be and when they're going to be in your day, and starting it early and saying, I'm going to have a chicken salad for my lunch. I'm going to have yogurt, this, that and the other for my snack, whatever that might be. Yeah, so you're getting ahead. You've got the foods there. And the 2 options, I obviously, everything that you basically said, eggs, chicken, yogurt, that was beef mince and that was turkey mince, but in whatever ratios. It doesn't really matter how you make it, and that's the good thing as well about having default foods, is like, that's turkey balls. I actually never make turkey balls, don't know why. We have turkey mince every week in our food shop, but I just never make them. And I never make meatballs either, but I would make a lot of burgers. I just love like frying off a load of burgers, and then Ben might have them with salad, I might have them with potatoes, I might have some veggies in there. Sometimes then I'll cut them up and put them in beef burrito bowls, like things like that. I haven't changed what I've bought, I've just changed what I've made. And then lentils is obviously great. A little more carby, that's the unfortunate thing whenever you're not having a meat source, or obviously a protein shake is definitely, I think, for vegetarian and vegans, you definitely think like a protein shake is great to utilise, because it is damn hard to stay within your calories and get your protein goal. And so sometimes we have slightly lower protein goals for someone that maybe is vegetarian or vegan, just because we understand that it's hard. But again, if we think about like the thermo effect of the protein, we absolutely want to try and get as much of it in as we possibly can. Number 4, this is a wee bit chaotic maybe looking, but protein add-ons, like again, thinking of, you know, the slide where I had like starting protein early in the day, how 5 to 10 grams can make a difference per meal across the end of the day on your goal. So I just whacked a load of foods that I was like, a lot of these are like 5 grams of protein. Obviously chicken is a lot more, but I was just thinking like little things that, again, looking at, say, an omelette. If you just had, what was it? You have 3 eggs.
And chicken.
Yeah.
And scattered cheese.
Yeah, so if you just had the eggs and the cheese, which is like, oh, I'd like a little, like 5 grams more protein, just a wee scatter of chicken in with that omelette just tops that up. Or vice versa, if she has the eggs and the chicken and she's like, I'd like an extra 5 grams of protein, you just add the cheese. I've got cottage cheese there too, edamame beans, peas, like all of these things. There's cream cheese, tinned fish, like things like the mackerel and sardines and whatnot there. Again, they're great wee. I would be happy for someone to just pick up one of those and have it as a snack, because you're going to get like the high protein. I don't have it there, I think it's in one of the next slides, but like things like jerky and stuff as well, or chicken skewers, like wee things like that just add protein up really fast. But I know that Stevie B bangs on about the peas as well. A great way to add like those extra grams of protein, whether you're having a curry, a stir fry, anything. You know, there's always a salad. You've got a chicken salad, you're like, oh, it's only 20 grams protein in there. Fire a wee boiled egg in, just cook some boiled eggs, keep them in the fridge. They're great as just like those extra add-ons. So, you know, if you took your meals from where you currently are and added an extra 5 grams, so whether that's an extra 5 grams of Greek yogurt in your breakfast, or an extra 5 grams of cheese in your breakfast, or protein obviously from those foods, and then you've done the same at lunch. Okay, I'm going to throw in some edamame beans in my salad, or a boiled egg in my salad. Now with an extra 10 grams straight away. Maybe you're someone that does eat 4 meals a day, and then your dinner, there's an extra 15 to 20 grams. So you've now took your protein goal from the 80 when you're supposed to be eating 100 to your 100 by not really changing too much, other than adding an extra 5 grams at each meal, because it all adds up. We're still good, still kind of helpful, making sense. Number 5, repeat meals. And this is what I meant about the omelette, like 2 breakfasts, kind of at max, an omelette, and then something else that you might like. Whether that's maybe you like a yogurt bowl there, or you like having an overnight kind of pudding, whether that's chia seed pudding with protein powder, or overnight oats or something like that, you know, that you can make the night before, in comparison to maybe the 5-10 minutes that an omelette might take. 3 lunches, I probably do rotate probably through 3 lunches. It would be like a chili, a curry, and a burrito bowl is probably the ones that I personally rotate around. And then dinners, same kind of idea. Protein-based snacks, I had a consult with Etna this week, and I spoke about, I actually really like people eating 4 meals a day. 1, because you're not getting too hungry. 2, you're definitely going to hit your protein goal. It's a lot easier that way. And 3, let's face it, most people are going to want a snack at some stage or another. So instead of making it an actual snack, just having a protein focus at it. So again, the likes of a yogurt bowl. I literally just had some 5% yogurt with some grapes and a wee bit of dark chocolate there now before I started this. That's my snack, but I had 25 grams of protein in it. So I'm ahead of the game on my protein for the day. It's going to keep my blood sugars balanced. It's going to keep me full until I actually have my lunch, probably about 2 o'clock. So I had breakfast at 7 a.m, 11 a.m. These are the times I was talking about. I'll have my lunch at 2, and I'll probably have my dinner around 6. So there I'm having quite regular feedings of protein. But, you know, I've had the same breakfast I have every day. I have the same protein snack that I have every day. I don't know what's for lunch actually, because I haven't made anything yet, but there's chicken out of the fridge. and I don't know what's for dinner yet, but potentially I'll just make the same thing that I have for lunch for dinner. So I've kept the consistency there. I haven't had to think what's for breakfast. I haven't had to think, okay, I'm going to have a snack and then I go to the shop and I buy a chocolate bar. It's not about the snacking, but it's definitely, the consistency and keeping it simple. And that's what I said as well about like the 5 default foods, whether it's a burrito bowl from my burgers or it's a bolognese or a chili or actual burgers. That's 4 foods or 4 meals just from that one food. So it's just like kind of having those small wins and keeping it simple, that there's always going to be beef mince in the fridge. So this is what I mean about switching your snacks more so for protein sources. And I knew I had jerky in here somewhere. It's not something I like, but I just thought it's probably one of those things for some people that they could eat, at their desk or whatever, just to again bump up their protein. People go and they'll have a couple of rice cakes or whatever. So I've done some rice cakes with avocado, cucumber sticks, and egg. Grand. A yogurt bowl with a little bit of low fructose fruit, protein, chia seed pudding, a piece of toast with scrambled egg, there's some avocado and I think some feta on top. I threw in like an oat bar or whatever, something that someone might make. I think there's definitely a mental thing around snacks and treats and things like that. Treats is just one of those terms that some people like to, you should be able to have a treat every day. What are we treating ourselves for? We're not dogs, we're not playing acts, we're not doing things, we're trying to fuel our body for health, longevity, energy, all of those good things. I'm not saying you can't have a treat or make a treat or whatever, but it's that I have a treat every day, is trying to get rid of that kind of, I fuel my body. Doesn't matter what it's with, like Natalie's obviously doing the marathon tomorrow, she had a donut yesterday, it's totally fine. It's not a treat, it's just a donut. And then I threw in a smoothie as well. Again, if you're struggling with hitting your protein goals, sometimes a smoothie is a great place to go. And rather than going and getting like a full sugar Coke from the shop, maybe a smoothie or a protein shake or something like that would be much more beneficial for your goals that way. Any questions?
In terms of absorption, like it will always be what you take, your body will take.
There's a whole nuance around it, yeah. Like I'd say up to 50 grams is probably for digestion ease. Like, if you're eating a bit more than 50 grams in a serving, you'll probably be a bit uncomfortable. But that's what I mean. Some research says, only 30 grams can be absorbed at once. Some research says that's BS, that there's no maximum that your body can absorb. I think my belief on it was always like, you're never going to eat too much protein ever. Like, have a meat platter and you're still probably only at 100 grams, but you haven't probably ate the rest of the day, and you probably don't want to eat the rest of the day after it either. So I think in regards to, are you going to absorb it? Yeah, and if you don't, you probably haven't overate on all your calories for the rest of the day, that it's not going to go get stored as fat either, it's just going to get used as energy. Very much the case of, if you eat too many carbohydrates, your carbs is your fuel source. They send the blood sugars up. If we don't use them, they get stored as fat, yes. Obviously, fat sources are more so used for hormone regulation and things like that, again, for more energy. You can definitely overeat on fats in the sense of calories, but I think it's more, again, overeating on your calories rather than your maintenance calories. You're now in a surplus, and that's, how many people go and overeat on broccoli and protein in comparison to pizza? It's the calorie excess rather than the food itself. And of course, sometimes too much protein in one sitting, as I said, can definitely, irritate the digestion a little bit. For some people, I know Karen, we've had this conversation before as well about eating more minced foods. If you're someone that does struggle with intake of protein and you're like, I just feel so heavy every time I eat, turkey breast or chicken breast or steak or whatever, go to the minced meats. They're already pretty minced down, that digestion's not having to work quite as hard. And it's definitely, you know, it's not the protein issue either. It's not the protein's fault. It's whatever's going on in the gut as a byproduct that's struggling to eat the protein becomes the problem. So trying to support your stomach acid. You can do, I think we've done it as well, the bicarb test, did we? Yeah, so you can do things like that, the bicarb test, where you're a bit of bicarb soda in water and you drink it, and it depends how fast you burp as a byproduct of the soda coming in, and then that tells you if your stomach acid is actually too high or it's too low. A lot of people think their stomach acid's too high and they're getting kind of like that reflux. It's usually still too low, and then therefore, of course, eating protein is going to be hard because you haven't got the right things in there to break it down. So we use a principle, I think we've spoke about it a few times before, the 5, 10, 15 method, where you take 5 deep breaths before you start eating, and that just shifts you from sympathetic into parasympathetic. Think about rest and digest, yet we're like firing around the house, sitting down, scoffing the food. Of course you're not going to digest that very well, are you? Every 10 mouthfuls you take of the meal, you then put your cutlery down, set it down, finish what's inside your mouth, and then you start eating again. You're slowing yourself down, but you're also actually chewing properly. You're not just forcing the next forkful in. And then 15 is taking 15 minutes to eat your meal. If you do those things alone, again, I've done it with my blood sugars, is I've ate a meal just normally, haven't thought about those things, at the exact same meal, but I done my 5 breaths. Every 10 mouthfuls I set my fork down, and I took 15 minutes to eat it because I ate it very slow, and my blood sugars were so much smoother. So as a digestion point, you can see it definitely makes that impact as to what we're doing, what's going on around us, as to are we going to absorb the nutrients from it, and how is our digestion going to be? Are we going to be bloated as a byproduct of just dumping all this food in when we're not in a digestive state? Cool, isn't it? Blows your mind how intricate the body is. And this is literally my last slide. My last point is to eat your protein every 3 to 4 hours. To throw in something to kind of back that is just muscle protein synthesis. We want to have around 30 grams of protein every 3 to 4 hours to spike that, which is our muscles getting stronger, maintaining its health, being healthy. So yeah, eat protein every 3 to 4 hours per day before hunger makes emotional decisions for you, because there's definitely sometimes that we're just like, oh, go get that wee chocolate bar instead of having the protein yogurt or whatever it might be. And then just literally plan it, prep it, prioritize it. If we're knowing our 5 default foods, have we got them in the house? Are they in the cupboard, the fridge, wherever they need to be? Have we prepped that we know it's going to be a chicken salad for lunch today, it's going to be turkey burgers at dinner tonight? And have we prioritized it? Have we said, I'm going to have a chicken salad, I'm not just having a salad, I'm going to have a chicken curry, not just a curry? Like, have we prioritized there's enough protein there? We know that there's protein in it, and we've damn well at it early enough that we're not behind for the day. That make sense?
Yes.
Give me any more questions you've got.
Breakfast in the morning.
Go for it. What about it?
You say eat within the hour that you wake up. I want 2 kids. I'm trying to get them out. As long as you hit that protein, high protein, could you have it within 2 hours of waking? Like, is that still?
It's so beneficial, yeah. Like, the reason we encourage having your breakfast within like 60 minutes of waking in, you're just putting fuel in from the get-go. Like, you have now got those 2 kids ready with a lot more fuel to get those kids ready.
Yeah.
You've put the energy in the tank. How do you expect your car to go from here to down the street if there's nothing in it? It's not going to go very well, probably down the street, aren't you? In comparison to, okay, you've got the fuel in, you've turned the ignition on, like again, putting the energy into the vehicle, and then it's going to get there a whole lot better. And if you can prioritize those 10-15 minutes for yourself in the morning, you're going to be a lot more regulated. Yeah, you get hangry as well, don't you? So it's like the kids are trying to get their shoes on, and you're just like,
Hopefully not hungry as soon as I wake.
but you'll, once you start, I promise. Yeah. Anyone else that wasn't hungry before they started eating early in the morning? You would have ate like an hour or so late.
I was trying to eat less because I don't need it because I wasn't working anymore, and I was not having breakfast deliberately and trying to go for like a lunchy brunchy, like a 11 or 12
Yeah.
o'clock. And the first thing we done when during dinner
Breakfast.
was have breakfast and 30 grams of protein. That was all we did the first couple of months. And now I would die if I didn't get breakfast in the morning. I was waking up
You're like a
hungry
gremlin.
for breakfast every day.
Yeah.
And downstairs,
Yeah.
I make well. I'm definitely have the time because I'm retired.
Yeah. But then maybe it's just like whatever your breakfast is, that it's something that you know you can make the day before, or yeah.
4 portions.
Yeah. And like
Make up the
Heat it
frittatas
up.
and that.
Yeah.
yeah.
I've always shredded chicken, grated cheese, you just sit in the fridge so to lift them out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fry them on the pan so it doesn't take very long.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So like how long does that take you to prep before the week?
So I would cook a whole chicken.
Yeah.
So I would cook it someday with the dinner's
Yes.
on, cook the whole chicken.
Because it's not really timely that way. Breaking it up is.
Chicken masala week. It's in a big lunch box sitting in there. And I always grate a full wee box of cheese.
Yeah.
Because I don't like pre-grated cheese, it's too dry. But I would do that when I'm making something else and they're in the fridge. I know they're there.
Yeah.
Just lift them out, boom.
Yeah. And like 2 hours is okay. 90 minutes is even better. And then 60 is even better again. So it's like,
Working towards that.
yeah, but it's definitely like you're right. You know, when people join us, if they don't eat breakfast, I don't care about the rest of the day. If you don't eat breakfast, that's my goal, is to get a breakfast, even if it's a protein shake, into you, because that's going to stop you. Like again, when I looked at, you know, the protein across the day, if you don't start early enough, you're going to be behind for the rest of the day. But any wonder you want to have like 8 p.m. snacks if you haven't ate. If you haven't ate like 2/3 of your calories by like 3 o'clock, any wonder you're starving at 8 p.m. You've had like 300 to 500 calories and you expect to not want to go and eat the fridge. You know, it's very much if you get most of your fuel in early enough in the day. And what are you fueling for at 8 p.m. anyway? Nothing. Like you have your dinner 6, 7 o'clock. It's more about making you tired, making sure you've got enough food for going to bed, but you're not trying to fuel your sleep. You know, in fact, you're struggling to digest whatever you're eating the later you go to, or the more you eat towards the end of the day. So it's very much if you can keep most of your food early in the day, definitely stay out of the fridge and the cupboards in the night time. You'll have hit your protein early enough, and if you haven't hit your protein, you have enough time to maybe make up for it. So there's enough kind of strategy there that you're not falling behind. But don't beat yourself up. You've two young kids. You're doing good and getting protein in. So it's just like, okay, how can I refine this to make it work better for me? Whether it's the wee egg muffins or whatever, so that they're prepped and ready when you have a wee hour to make them or whatever. Anything else? I did speak to you earlier just basically about protein and healing as well, like definitely, you know, thinking about that end scale where we had like how many grams of protein you need. You know, the first end was simply just like detoxification, immune system and stuff. For healing after like a surgery or injury or anything like that, think about how it is the immune system that heals the body. So we definitely need to be making sure that we're probably hitting the higher end. If I go back to that slide. I think it was one of the first ones, so probably should have went the other way. Yeah, so like rather than 0.8, you probably do want to be at the 1, and then maybe you're only at the 0.4 and the 0.8, but you just want to prioritize like injuries and things like that as well. One of the other girls who's off for surgery at the minute, she came in to me the other day and she said, oh, I'd like to look at a calorie deficit, because obviously she's not currently working out because she just had surgery. And I was like, I'm really sorry to say that I won't let you do that, because your body is going to go so slow on healing process. You just need to be putting the protein in for the recovery. You know, better recovery here. That's not just from training, that's from those things as well. Immune system, basic function, like you do. It is so important for so many things. And again, just coming back to this one, sometimes it's not the calories, but it's the lack of protein within those calories. Another, I think I've mentioned it a few times when I've done seminars, another client who was hitting her calories but wasn't hitting her protein. I was like, I'm going to give you an extra 200 calories, but I want that to solely come from protein, which would be what? I'm probably going to mash wrong, 50 grams? No, 200 by 4. Don't know, can't think. But she started eating that extra 200 calories worth of protein and like she had stalled fat loss wise, and again she was down like another 2 kilo in 2 weeks just because she brought that protein up by an extra 200 calories. So it is so effective, so efficient, so supportive for our health in so many ways, and I promise it gets easier the more that you do it. Like, protein is just second nature to me now. I'm probably about 140, 150 grams of protein a day. I do eat 4 meals, and I do probably have about 36 grams of protein in my breakfast, so I'm getting going from the get-go, and it just becomes habitual. I can't even think how to not hit my protein now, because every meal is just set up for it. I have been doing this for I've probably been tracking my calories, for about 12 years. I don't track them, I never go in and calculate them. I go in the odd time, maybe once a month, and just see, okay, what am I eating? Am I feeling my body correctly? But it's just a byproduct of 12 years ago I started this. So don't think that I'm just standing here preaching at you. Believe me, I didn't eat my protein either. I was a chicken goose young girl. So yeah, it's effective and it's efficient at what it does. So.
See, in terms of your turkey mince that you use a lot, would you use more of that? What about beef mince and those red meats?
No, I use a lot of beef mince. I personally eat sometimes beef twice a day. I would eat a lot of red meat. We buy both. I probably buy, we probably buy a kilo and a half of 5% beef mince a week, and then probably about a kilo of, then we'd eat more so beef or turkey thigh mince. But obviously you have that mix of thigh mince or breast. Yeah, we shop in Lidl. Okay. Just in round where all the chicken is. There's usually turkey at the end of that same aisle.
I find it hard to get enough flavour with using the lots of spices.
With turkey, turkey thigh is a bit better for that, because again you've got the fat. You don't really get as much juices out of turkey. So in comparison to chicken, so I think that's where like the thigh is a bit more favourable, because you are getting a bit more of the brown meat juice. But yeah, again, I make turkey burgers a lot, or Ben we just, chili and garlic's my go-to, and then I usually make like a chili mayo for it.
Nice. With mayonnaise.
I use mayonnaise, but again, you could do like I have done again when I've been dieting before, cream cheese. And sometimes, again, as a snack, I would have like a bagel thin with cream cheese and a turkey burger inside. Probably 20-30 grams of protein, maybe an extra 100-150 calories for your bagel thin and cream cheese. It just depends on what your calorie wiggle room is. I'm nearly eating double your calories, so I have a lot more wiggle room, unfortunately. And again, you do figure out what your calorie maintenance is. I've done it with quite a lot of you, is just sussing out like where you can eat, and girls, you just gotta move. It just helps you be able to eat so much more, getting those steps in. That's where you're going today, right? Going for a big walk.
Yes, I am. Yes, and I did yesterday.
Good. Anything else? Sure. Ask away.
Yeah,
Anything?
that was really interesting.
It's just like really trying to keep it simple, because the more simple I can keep it, the more you're actually going to do it.